This is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. It is Wednesday, 29th November. We are almost at the end, folks. Just hang in there. Good morning to you. It's Mervyn Hanley with another edition of THG News Today. THG News Today, of course, is powered by Carl & Sons on St. Martin. That's both locations, upon Phil in Phillipsburg and in Coal Bay. I must say, before we go on a commercial break, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for news, entertainment, weather, information, you name it, especially starting the year 2024. We'll have lots here, lots of programming at THG Network. Let us hear from Carl & Sons, and we'll be right back.
Carl & Sons have been serving the people of St. Martin for over 40 years. And the food and service get better and better. From early morning, customers flock to the bakery for their favorite sandwiches, cakes, pastries, you name it. First thing at mornings and last thing at afternoons, folks rush to Carl & Sons for simply the best. There are two locations, Coal Bay and on the Ponfill. In Coal Bay, the opening hours are Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. On Saturdays, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. And on Sundays, 6:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Opening hours on the Ponfill, Monday to Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 6:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. We also cater for weddings, parties, special events, whatever the occasion. It's Carl & Sons. Our staff, we are always happy to serve you. Call us today, the Coal Bay location, 721-544-2462. That's 721-544-2462. Or in Phillipsburg, 721-543-1059. That's 721-543-1059. It's Carl & Sons Bakery. We are here to serve you.
China has brought mask and social distancing in a chilling echo of a lockdown as they battle a mystery pneumonia outbreak 4 years on from COVID. Alarming footage has emerged of mask-wearing crowds inside Chinese hospitals as fears of a new pandemic sweep across the globe. Areas in the north of the country, such as Beijing, has been hit the hardest, with reports emerging last week that hospitals have been overwhelmed with sick children. A common bacterial infection called Mycoplasma pneumoniae has circulated since May, but is now showing ground glass opacity in lung scans, an indicator of severe respiratory illness. Also known as white lung syndrome, many parents are deeply worried and are having to wait at least a day just for emergency care. But China continues to insist that flu and the usual winter bugs are to blame for the latest outbreak, rather than a new virus, and can cope with the spike in sickness. Local authorities, however, are already been called upon to open more fever clinics and promote vaccine uptake among children and the elderly. Efforts should be made to increase the opening of relevant clinics and the treatment areas, extend the service hours, and increase the supply of medicines, said Ministry spokesman Mei Feng. He also advised people to wear masks and called on local authorities to focus on preventing the spread of illnesses in crowded places such as schools and nursing homes. But his statement comes after a Beijing Children's Hospital told state media CCTV that at least 7,000 patients were being admitted daily to the institution, exceeding capacity. It's almost exactly 4 years to the date when the first COVID-19 cases were detected in the central Chinese city of Wuhan in the latter months of 2019. And commentators have already highlighted how the wave of sickness was eerily similar to the reports that emerged just prior to COVID, which China was accused of covering up. The UK Health Security Agency have already said we must keep an open mind about the cause of the mystery pneumonia. I don't even want to go back down that road. We don't even want to go back down that road with this outbreak, and then no. Too similar to COVID as far as how this series of events started. We don't want to go back there. That was no. I don't even want to think about it. Let's talk about something else. What's happening with former Premier Andrew Fahie? Well, I have some news for you this morning on that. Because now his co-defendants or ex-co-defendants or whatever you want to call them, Mrs. Pickering Maynard, she's now going to be a witness against him. I am not surprised by that. Former Managing Director of the BVI Ports Authority, Pickering Maynard, is expected to testify against former Premier Andrew Fahie when his drug and money laundering trial begins in January next year. This is according to a report out of the Miami Herald, based in Florida, where the trial is expected to be held. Maynard's son, Kareem Maynard, 32, pleaded guilty earlier this year to a single count of conspiracy to import cocaine and was sentenced last week to 57 months in prison, with a 5-year period of supervised release after his sentence. Kadeem obtained a prison term below the sentencing guidelines of 11 to 14 years from U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams, after he agreed to a plea bargain with prosecutors and they dropped additional charges that he faced previously. In his plea arrangement, Kadeem insisted that he only had a minor role in the cocaine and money laundering scheme that shook the territory when it was revealed nearly 2 years ago. According to Kadeem, he simply introduced the DEA informant posing as a drug cartel member to his mother and coordinated meetings between the informant, his mother, and the former premier. Despite his relatively light sentence, the Herald reported that Kadeem is not expected to offer any testimony against Fahie. In her plea agreement, Mrs. Maynard admitted that she introduced the informant to Fahie, and together they used the authority to facilitate the purported cocaine smuggling plan. Her plea agreement requires that she testify against Fahie, but her attorney Raymond Houlihan with the Federal Public Defender's Office declined to offer any comment to the Herald. Meanwhile, Fahie continues to remain at his daughter's home in Florida on a $1 million bond. Fahie was initially arrested with Maynard and charged with conspiracy to commit money laundering, attempted money laundering, conspiracy to import cocaine, and later slapped with charges of racketeering as well. Whew, a lot of charges there. His attorney, Theresa Van Villet, told the Herald that Fahie did not intend to seek a plea deal and wanted to fight the charges vigorously in court once his trial came up. Maynard is scheduled for sentencing on January 18, 2024, just 7 days after the start of Fahie's trial on January 8, 2024. And this is a trial that we will be watching day by day come January, the trial of Andrew Fahie. And finally, in our news this morning, according to the St. Lucia Times, House of Assembly Speaker Claudius Francis has criticized the media, urging reporters to do their jobs properly. Go do your jobs properly. Wow, I love that. I like this guy. Francis declared in an interview outside Parliament on Friday. You know what's happening to the media? The government says it's raining. The opposition says it's not raining. The press reports both, rather than put their heads outside to see if it is actually raining. That is so true. We have some lazy press around here. But anyways, let me continue with the story. That's what the problem is. Go do your jobs, he told the reporters. Earlier this week, Francis announced to the House that he was considering discontinuing live broadcasts. The announcement came after a fiery session, including an exchange with opposition leader Alan Chastity. When the Parliament reconvened on Friday, the Speaker said matters would continue. Nevertheless, Francis declared that disrespect to the chair, which had been evident, would not continue. Asked whether he believed the opposition was misbehaving, the Speaker's response was, "Whether I believe that? But you witnessed it. You judge for yourself. Why do you think I must tell you whether I think the opposition is misbehaving?" Regarding his earlier announcement that he would consider halting live broadcasts of proceedings in Parliament, Francis said, "Does the fact that something has never happened make it wrong? It has never happened that members behave that way. Don't you see it as wrong?" Francis said. It is interesting that none of you asked the question of Mr. Chastity, that why is it that he has had a problem with every speaker, including 2 under his watch. Even for the 5 minutes I stepped out, he ran afoul of the Deputy Speaker, Francis recalled. So why is it that the question is always to the Speaker? Go ask Mr. Chastity those questions, he said. In addition, Francis asked whether a live broadcast discontinuation prevents the press from covering Parliament. It is recorded and played, he observed. Do you broadcast the courts? Why don't you go and ask Chief Justice why she doesn't allow live broadcasts of the court? The Speaker stated. He said the media seemed more interested in focusing not on parliamentary rules, breaches by the opposition leader, but on what the Speaker does supporting the rules. I like this guy. I like the Speaker. And that is the thing with the media nowadays. Some of the media, not most, the opposition say one thing, they just report. The government says one thing, they just report. So no one is out there doing any investigative journalism to find out what is true, what is not true, and even to give the objective, fair and balanced reporting. That's why you have THG News Today. Thank you for joining me. And do join me again tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock for a similar presentation of THG News Today with Mervyn Hanley. Have a good day, everyone.